And then at dinner, I'd eavesdrop on my parents' conversations about lawyers and evidence.
I was very unaware of... I just had certain things that you have to keep saying. You have 2 more children. You have to look after your children. And so I would ask other people, how do you find Alex and Sarah? How do you think they are? Because I felt so far away. I felt like I was in another world.
You know, it was hard for your mother. Really, really hard. I remember telling her that you needed a lot more attention.
My Uncle Anthony came to stay with us for a while. And he remembers my mom being in a constant state of worry.
I think that your mother just thought, like, everything, the worst of everything. I mean, that anything bad, anything else could happen, you know. Anything could happen. Just your dad wasn't gonna come home. Yeah, she was a mess. Your mom got mad at your dad because he wanted to kill the policeman.
Did my dad actually say that at any point?
To kill him?
Yeah?
Well, yeah, many times. A few times.
I remember that the police said to me, we're not going to hang Markovic out to dry, you know. And I said, it's not Markovic, it's the whole system. It's the way you educate your police officers. It's the way you teach them to travel the road. It's the power you give them. All of you are under scrutiny. And Dad, like, really, really hated Markovic. It was very focused anger, and it used to make me very upset when he would talk violently about Markovic, because I felt it was so contrary to what Paul would have wanted us to be, these angry people. I felt that it was a betrayal of Paul to just be filled with anger, and that really upset me, Dad's anger.
It's so odd because he's just such a mild-mannered person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Even before I picked up on that anger in the house, I remember worrying my parents were going to get a divorce. It was one of the first things that went through my head after Paul died. A few weeks later, I got into the only fight I've ever been in my life. A kid named Christian and I started arguing over a basketball game one lunch break. On our way back to class, he told me he was glad my brother died. I punched him in the face, right in front of the teacher. She took me to the principal's office. I was so angry. The school secretary talked to me as I waited outside the office. I remember her welling up when she told me that her brother had died too, when she was my age. When the principal finally came out and saw the two of us there, crying, she just told me not to hit anyone anymore. I remember wishing I'd punched Christian harder.
It was very difficult for you when you went back to school, I think, because you felt very guilty. You'd come home and you'd say, it's so weird because everybody's being really, really nice to me. Like they're really, really being nice to me.
Mm-hmm.
The teachers were letting you get away with stuff, and you really hated it, that it was just because Paul died. And
it's funny because I remember not hating it. I remember being aware of that, but kind of reveling in that a little bit.
Well, maybe you did enjoy it, and that was part of your feeling guilty about it. I mean, I think that is what you found, that you enjoyed it, but you hate it. Why? And before that, before Paul died, Dad used to still be reading a book with you at night. But you didn't want that after Paul died.
Really?
Yeah. I think you want it to be older. And I think it was kind of a way of wanting to be grown up and not have to live through what we were all living through.
When the coroner's inquest finally began, my family and I would spend our days hearing witness after witness say that the car had come out of nowhere, that Paul had never stood a chance. At night, I would go to bed trying to program myself to dream about Paul. I couldn't even remember his voice anymore. He was already slipping away. My memories of him lost in a fog.
Can I share another memory, actually?
Yeah, please.
This is my friend Emily again.
I have another memory of sleeping over at your house relatively soon after. And it would have been after we had gone to bed at some point, but I was still awake. And you went into Paul's room, and I heard you kind of calling for him, like in a loud whisper, kind of like, Paul, Paul. Almost like you were trying to communicate with him. And then,
Wow.
like, you saying, Paul, Paul. And then a few seconds passed, and then you ran into your parents' room. And one of them got up, I think probably your dad, and went outside and went for a walk with you.
That's crazy. I don't remember that at all. That's intense.
Yeah.
It's a weird feeling, hearing about moments of my life that I have no recollection of. My sister tells me that I slept on the floor of her bedroom for months, but I don't remember that at all. One thing I do remember is playing ping pong in the basement. My parents had bought the table shortly before Paul died, but I only remember playing on it alone after he died, folding the table in half towards the ceiling and whacking the ball against it as hard as I could. The basement is also where we had stashed the cardboard box full of Paul's bloody clothes. I knew it was there, but did my best not to think about it. Until one day, when I smelt that visceral scent of formaldehyde that had made my head spin at Paul's wake when I had touched his face. I told Yvonne about it during one of our sessions. I was playing ping pong in the basement, and the ball went to where that I knew that box was.
Mm-hmm.
This smell of rot, it seared into my nostrils, and I was scared to go to it. And I just remember running and grabbing the ball and running away.
You see that emotion that came up there? I could hear that emotion coming up in you, you know? Tell me what they are.
Sadness.
Sadness, yeah. Mm-hmm. A lot of fear and a lot of sadness and fear. Don't be afraid of it. They're very honest emotions, and they've just been down there for a long time, and you just bringing them up. And as you bring them up, you slowly sorting them out a little bit, you know? Now, you feel like crying, just allow yourself to. Yeah. Let it out. That's how we get rid of it. You know, we get past it, you know, because you're feeling sad.
Yeah.
You see, Alex, there's part of you that you've made a big story in your mind about Paul's death. You know what I mean? Your imagination thinks about Paul dead on the ground. But what we want to do is to remind you of other experiences you had with your brother. You know, you sort of have to walk backwards.
Yeah.
You're on a journey now, I can tell. You're on a journey to find your brother, you know, to find Paul. You're going back through it, the journey of grief.
Yeah.
But it is not an easy journey. Like, it's got twists and turns and potholes and boulders. And the more you get through it, the more you're going to remember, I promise you. And you'll find your lost brother, if you know what I mean.
On the next episode of Sorry About the Kid.
Today, the rookie policeman who was at the wheel testified he hadn't noticed the light, and he said he'll drive the same way in the future.
He basically wanted us to be thrown out of court as completely crazy, hysterical people who were looking for vengeance.
I think I focused a lot on presenting and performing. Like, nobody's going to see how bad this hurts. Nobody's going to see how affected I am.
I want you to close your eyes for a moment, take a deep breath.
I don't know why I'm crying right now.
Well, it's very important to you, Alex. It's an important memory.
Sorry About the Kid is written and produced by me, Alex McKinnon, and Mira Burt-Wintonic. Editing and sound design by Mira Burt-Wintonic. Jeff Turner is our senior producer. Our theme music is by David Drury. S.K. Robert is our coordinating producer. Our associate producer is Caitlin Taylor. Our logo is by Mathilde Corbet. Arif Noorani is executive producer. Follow Sorry About the Kid on CBC Listen or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you like the show, tell your friends about it. It would mean a lot to us. Thanks for listening.